Found many bags of information. I think they call them burn bags. They're supposed to be burned and they didn't get burned, having to do with how corrupt the 2020 election was. And when will that all come out?
Mr. President, I will be the first to brief you once we have that information collected. But you're right, we are finding documents literally tucked away in the back of safes in random offices, in these bags and in other areas, which again speaks to the intent of those who are trying to hide the truth from the American people and trying to cover up the politicization that was led by people like John Brennan and James Clapper and others that have caused really immeasurable harm to the American people.
Gavin Newsom fusses over his hair gel like it's a state budget, while Tulsi Gabbard swoops in like a political ninja, shining a spotlight on his marriage. Drama. Suddenly California's politics feels more like tabloid gossip, with receipts flying that make reality TV look tame. Brace yourself, this is political gossip gone.
There's irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as this.
Hit subscribe, it helps more than you know. Gavin Newsom has crafted the image of a man who not only runs California but also keeps it glossy, juggling budget crises, wildfires, and fancy photo ops with a smile worthy of a shampoo commercial. All while showcasing his marriage as the shiny proof that beneath the ambition and hair gel, he's just a devoted family.
Tulsi Gabbard is making waves. She's cutting through the deep state and taking bold actions where others have failed. While Newsom tweets, Tulsi acts, and the difference in leadership couldn't be clearer. California's governor is struggling to stay relevant, and DC's former congresswoman is proving that decisive action still matters in politics. California's in trouble, and Newsom's doing
crack with the slightest tap. And Newsom's carefully curated marriage is no different. He's leaned on the image of a perfect partnership to distract from Sacramento's chaos, turning his spouse into a living campaign prop where every public kiss, holiday card, and parade appearance fuels the myth of the flawless leader with the flawless home.
I'm going to dive into something the left really doesn't want you to hear. Californians themselves are going off on Gavin Newsom. Not talking heads, not politicians, everyday people who are sick of his lies. The gas prices, the crime, the homelessness, and now his shady little...
A man who conquers chaos at work and returns to a domestic scene straight out of a Hallmark movie until Tulsi Gabbard bursts in like an action movie heroine, unafraid and unfiltered, shattering the glossy illusion with the calm authority of someone who's seen facades crumble before.
Have any Democrats indicated they're going to support you?
I won't speak for any senators.
Have they told you that?
I won't speak for any senators. I will allow them to make their own statements on their own account.
Have you heard concerns about experience within the intel sphere itself? We've heard concerns, like that from other senators. I'm just wondering if you've heard those things with your meetings from Democrats or others.
I don't want to disclose the contents of our conversations. My background on the Armed Services Committee and the Foreign Affairs Committees in Congress over 8 years, service in the military.
Tulsi doesn't need guards' credibility, follows her naturally, while most politicians tiptoe around uncomfortable truths. She grabs them and exposes them for all to see, tearing down facades that others treat like polished theater. When she turned her attention to Gavin Newsom's marriage, the political equivalent of fine china, she didn't gawk or gossip. She highlighted the gap between image and reality, showing that a shiny smile doesn't equal integrity and making what was once untouchable fair game in the conversation about ambition, authenticity, and
in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against
vibes. Happy family, glamorous wife. Polished values California's own political rom-com. But rom-coms always have bloopers, and Gavin's have been leaking for years. From turning a mayor's office into a soap opera to a first marriage collapse that gave us Kimberly Guilfoyle, now a Trump-side Broadway banshee. This isn't about his love life. It's about the hypocrisy. Tulsi exposed how politicians weaponize their family image, parading spouses and kids like mascots, while the backstage reality is far messier than any carefully scripted.
Gavin Newsom is a popular governor in California, then please call me immediately. I'd like to talk to you about a bridge I have for sale. Also, I'd like to direct your attention toward this billboard. It's a photo of Gavin Newsom in a suit next to Butthead in a suit, and the resemblance is uncanny. And it says, "I'm Gavin. I destroyed California with my bad ideas." Yeah, but that's not all. It rotates. The Gavin and Butthead is just the first in many hilarious images that pop up on this billboard. The next one says, "Congratulations, Newsom. Highest gas prices in America."
On his marriage, like a political safety net, I'm stable, trustworthy, relatable, but Tulsi reminded everyone that behind the glossy image lies a history anything but consistent. She didn't just expose personal drama, she framed it as a metaphor. If a man can't keep his own house straight, what does that say about the narrative he sells to millions? His past, from a messy divorce to a prequel with Kimberly Guilfoyle and a crossover with Trump-era chaos, makes every polished smile beside his current wife feel less like love and more like a very expensive PR campaign.
Put a meme coin out, and you know what, Donald Trump, we'll see how well your coin does versus our coin.
Is it going to be called Gavin coin? Is that?
No, it's, I think, Trump corruption coin.
Oh, okay. That's a little long.
This is one of the great grifters of our time. I mean, this is just jaw-dropping. And none of this is normal. Again, none of this is funny. I mean, it's funny in one respect, but it's extraordinary.
Enter this scene by accident. She's built a reputation for crashing political parties and calling out elites with brutal honesty. Targeting Newsom's marriage isn't gossip. It's about integrity, exposing how politicians treat values like costumes worn only during campaigns. The hit stings because Gavin isn't just governor, he's eyeing the presidency. Chaos followed. Spin doctors scrambled to defend the sacred family image they'd long used for campaign props, proving once again that inviting everyone to your barbecue only to yell when someone notices the burgers are burnt is classic political theater.
Hold ICE accountable.
They need to be held accountable. To your question, we rely on the court system. We rely on the Constitution of the United States of America, and we can't be complicit either in this moment. We can't just be silent. That's what Donald Trump wants. Nor can we be violent ourselves. If we're going to protest, we do it peacefully. That's how you make things change. That's how movements are created, through peace.
Tulsi emphasized that change comes through peaceful protest, relying on courts and the Constitution, not silence or violence. While the media and pundits dissected her every word, opponents tried linking personal instability to political reliability. The danger of leaning too hard on a family man image is clear. When cracks appear, the entire narrative collapses. Tulsi didn't invent Gavin's past. She reminded everyone that his polished image has long masked chaos. Her point is universal. Politicians everywhere craft glossy facades, selling virtue while behind the scenes it's often disorder. And when those facades are challenged, the whole act starts to wobble.
I think his primary crime is running for governor because he's done such a bad job. What he's done to that state is like what Biden did to this country. And that's pretty bad. It's the wrong philosophy.
Right around the time that we were walking in here, the governor and the state attorney general said that they're going to sue you for sending the National Guard in. They're saying there's no invasion, there's no rebellion. The president is trying to manufacture chaos and crisis on the ground for his own political ends. Federalizing the California National Guard is an abuse of the president's authority under law.
Well, you know, it's interesting.
Newsom is the perfect case study. Scandals, ambition, Hollywood Louisville optics, and a marriage more press release than love story. With a White House run quietly on the horizon, every skeleton taxes trustworthiness. Past marriages threatens to surface, and once seen, it's hard to ignore. Meanwhile, Tulsi emerges as the fearless disruptor, unafraid to expose what others conceal, solidifying her brand as blunt and uncompromising. For the public, it sparks tension. If she's willing to call this out, what else lurks behind the curtain? Defenders argue it's unfair, that marriage is private, and personal flaws shouldn't define professional capability, but the narrative is already shifting.
His team have figured out a very entertaining way to deal with Donald Trump at his own rhetorical level. They've got a new social media strategy that is both, I gotta say, pretty damn funny and I think extremely effective, mocking the president with a spot-on impression of his very weird communication style. Since Newsom jumped into the ongoing redistricting fight, his official Twitter account has been posting, "Donald is finished. He is no longer hot." First the hand, so tiny. And now me, Gavin C. Newsom, have taken away his step. Many are saying we can't even do the big stairs on Air Force One anymore. Uses the little baby stairs now. Sad. Has all capital letters, random quotation marks, little parentheticals, complete unhinged. I thought this was a good one. I hate Kid Rock. GCM. Reference to Trump's infamous I hate Taylor Swift.
Defenders are right. Personal flaws shouldn't define political capability, but voters don't separate the two. The public loves political drama, and Tulsi just delivered a new episode, exposing cracks in Newsom's picture-perfect image. Years of Camelot-style composure melted under blunt honesty, turning the spotlight from his marriage to the entire performance. Now Gavin is left rehearsing smiles in the mirror, but Tulsi planted doubt, and in politics, doubt is poison. Once the story no longer matches reality, the narrative collapses.
Criminal charges to the Department of Justice. I am not an attorney, but as I've said previously, when you look at the intent behind creating a fake manufactured intelligence document that directly contradicts multiple assessments that were created by the intelligence community, the expressed intent and what followed afterward can only be described as a years-long coup and a treasonous conspiracy against the American people, our republic, and an attempt to undermine President.
And maybe the funniest part, Newsom aimed to be the polished family man leader, but Tulsi turned him into the star of a political soap opera. His presidential dreams now read less like a campaign and more like keeping up with the Newsoms, and no amount of hair gel can slick back that narrative. As he struts toward the national spotlight, Tulsi's words linger like an unavoidable spoiler, and the public drawn to power and drama alike can't stop talking about the cliffhanger that is Gavin